Yeah, yeah.
Good stuff. So thanks, members, for the opportunity to speak again here today. So as Dennis was kind of saying there, I suppose the presentation is essentially going to examine the degree to which the NDP aligns with the RSCS. I suppose in the presentation, we'll be only focusing on the RPOs related to infrastructure. So section 1 of the presentation essentially focuses on the alignment between the NDP and the Galway Metropolitan Area strategic plan, and specifically the RPOs related to infrastructure. So table 1 on the screen now evaluates to what degree the NDP aligns with the RPOs of the Galway Metropolitan Area strategic plan. Like all the tables you'll see in this presentation today, there are 4 columns in each table, as you can see from the blue bar at the top of the table. So I suppose the first column outlines the RPO in question. The second column then outlines the RPO description as per the RSES. Then the third column, which is the key column you should focus on when you're looking at the tables. This lists the NDP projects that supports the RPO in question, and this would include new projects and completed projects as per the NDP material. And then finally, the final column then gives the Assembly's brief opinion on whether the RPO in question is to some degree supported by the Project Ireland 2040 lists and the NDP, or whether it is not clear on the degree of support. And we've colour coordinated this, so you'll see later on what I refer to. So for example, just take an example there, RPO 364, which is the first line. The NDP has funded or will fund URDF works in relation to supporting the regeneration of Galway City Inner Harbour, in developing the master plan of the Galway City Inner Harbour, and the NDP commits funding to upgrades on Kent Station in Galway, to developing 81 social housing units on the Heifer Road, to supporting a regeneration projects at Sandy Road, and delivering the Galway public spaces and streets project. So on this basis, we believe that the RPO in question is to some degree supported by the NDP, and this is indicated from the 4th column, as you see on the right, through the green box marked by yes. We're not saying it's going to be fully implemented, we're just saying it's to some degree supported. So you can go down the list in, you can see RPO 367 is supported by the NDP's commitment to the Galway City Ring Road. Furthermore, the other part of RPO 367, namely the rest of the Galway Transport Strategy, and RPO 368 are supported to some degree by a variety of projects in the NDP, which kind of range from the Galway Port Connectivity Project, the Galway City Cycling and Walking Project, the Bus Connects investments in Galway, the upgrading of Kent Station in Galway, the Ornmore Rail Station development, the NTA's active travel investment in Galway, which is funded through the NDP, and then also the commitment to undertake a feasibility study on dual rail tracking between Galway Station, Kent Station, and Athenry Station. The NDP also makes a number of commitments to support the delivery of RPO 3610 and 3611, which range from delivering the University Hospital Galway Radiation Oncology Unit, the hospital's blood science project, the cardiac cath lab phase 1 project, and the hospital's new ED and ward block development. The NDP commits to delivering the projects relating to Unit 5 and 6 in Maryland Park Hospital and the Maryland Park Hospital Theatre Block project, while the NDP also commits to delivering an elective centre in Galway as part of the implementation of Sláintecare. You can moving down the list in, you can see RPO 3612 then is supported by the NDP's commitment to delivering the GMIT STEM building, which of course will form part of the new TU. However, alignment between the RSES and the NDP is not so clear on all of the RPOs. So for example, RPO 3613, which is the last line on this table, is that's supported by the NDP and its commitment to delivering the Galway-Dublin Greenway, which of course is welcome. However, there's no mention of the Ornmore to Barna Coastal Greenway and the Galway to Clifton Greenway. Hence, it's not entirely clear on its commitment Therefore, we've included an orange box with the phrase titled "Not clear from PI 2040 list, but progress is evident." Again, this is simply just to show the progress is evident through the Galway-Dublin Greenway. Likewise, the NDP doesn't make it clear its commitment to RPO 369, which aims to deliver a dual railway track line between Galway and Athlone. However, some progress is evident from the fact that the department has committed to undertake a feasibility study on a dual railway track line between Galway and Athenry. Furthermore, RPO 366 supports a master plan for the old Galway airport site and developing the lands and its immediate hinterlands on both sides of the R339. However, such a plan is not referenced in any of the NDP material. Then moving down the list, the NDP doesn't seem to make any commitments to support RPO 365, which aims to essentially support the delivery of lands for employment across the Galway metropolitan area. Hence, we've applied the use of a red box titled "Not clear from PI 2040 list," and progress is not evident. I suppose PI 2040 is obviously a Project Ireland 2040. But I suppose in the case of the red boxes, it should be noted we're not implying that the state is not committed to these projects or that the relevant works aren't in progress. Rather, we're simply noting that the commitment to these projects is not clear in the NDP, and that further clarity from the relevant bodies involved will be needed. And we think we'll be able to achieve this through the 2-year RSES monitoring report. Moving on, then section 2 then focuses on the Letterkenny Regional Growth Centre strategic plan. So in supporting RPO 3726, the NDP has committed to the development of the Letterkenny 2040 master plan, which I think is out for draft now, and it commits to delivering the regeneration projects as part of the future plan, including the regeneration of the Cathedral Quarter, the renewal at Lower Main Street, the revival of the courthouse, the delivery of a regional transport hub in Letterkenny, and the delivery of what is known as the Letterkenny Green Connect, which essentially would deliver active and sustainable transport on travel infrastructure. As you move down the list, in RPO 3730 is supported by the NDP's commitment to delivering works on the N56, N13, Letterkenny to Manacunningham, the N14, Manacunningham to Lifford Strabane A5, and the N15, N13, Brophy to Stradler bypass. The Southern Relief Road is not mentioned in the NDP, but funding was allocated to this project in February 2021, which is technically under the old NDP period. And furthermore, in the last line you see there, the NDP does support RPO 3731, which is to deliver Letterkenny, the Letterkenny IT library, education, and IT building, and the Letterkenny IT Pathfinder project, which essentially involves the retrofitting of the main campus building. Likewise, RPO 3734 is supported by the NDP's commitment to delivering a regional transport hub in Letterkenny through the 2040 plan. The RPO 3735 is supported from the inclusion of an all-island rail strategic review, which was mentioned and supported in the NDP document. With respect to RPO 3733, which supports a cycle network around Letterkenny, alignment is not as clear here from the NDP. We know some progress is evident from the fact that Donegal County Council have noted their intentions to undertake a first phase development of a linear park greenway, while the Letterkenny Green Connect under Letterkenny 2040 could also support this RPO, but again, to what degree, remains to be unseen, and further clarity will be needed. Furthermore, investment supporting RPO 3736, namely the Letterkenny Social Enterprise Centre, is not mentioned in the Project Ireland 2040 list or the NDP, but some progress is evident for the fact that the tender was requested for the construction of this infrastructure asset. Moving on then, section 3 then looks at the Sligo Regional Growth Centre strategic plan. So the first 3 lines there, you'll see RPO 3740, RPO 3741 and RPO 3743 are all supported or have been supported by the NDP's commitment. So, for example, the NDP committed to supporting the Eastern Garavogue Bridge and approach scheme in Sligo, and the NDP also, as you'll be aware, has assisted in completing the Western Distributor Road and the N4 Colonia to Castle Baldwin development. Furthermore, RPO 3743 is supported by the N4 N15 Sligo Urban Improvement Scheme. To support RPO 3748, which is in the last line there, you'll see the NDP aims to deliver a variety of projects ranging from the Sligo Town Public Realm project, open public spaces at Market Cross, central block and labelling measures, including master plan, the redevelopment of the Keys Street car park into a new public space, the pedestrianisation of the Market Bridge, the old Market Street and Teeling Street junction enhancement, and the implementation of a wayfinding and an interpretation strategy for Sligo. As well as that, in supporting this RPO as well, the NDP will also support O'Connell Street enhancements, public realm enhancements in Sligo, and the delivery of the Sligo Cultural Plaza and the City Campus Sligo Cultural and Learning Hub, considering their location in the town centre. RPO 3749 then has been supported through the NDP and the URDF through its support for the finalisation of the Central Block Master Plan. RPO 3751 is supported through the NDP's commitment to develop and deliver public realm enhancements in the villages of Strand Hill and Ross's Point. RPO 3752 will be supported by the IDA's regional property programme, which is funded through the NDP, and it will fund an upgrade for the existing IDA Business Park in Sligo. The NDP also supports RPO 3754 through projects such as the N4 Colonia to Castle Baldwin, the N4 works in Carrigan Shannon to Dromod, the N17 Knock to Colonia, and the N15 N13 Ballybrophy Straddler bypass. And RPO 3755, which is the last line, is supported by the NDP's commitment then to the City Campus Sligo Cultural and Learning Hub, since this infrastructure asset will utilise smart technologies. Moving on then, in support of RPO 3759, the NDP commits to delivering a National Centre for Excellence for Surfing in Sligo and through public realm enhancements of the villages of Strand Hill and Ross's Point. Likewise, RPO 383 is supported by the NDP through its commitment to fund the Regional Airport Programme, and Capital Investment Programme has been committed to Knock Airport. In terms of RPO 3746, some progress is evident here, given that the IDA has sought planning permission for an advanced building solution in the Oakfield site, but it's not very clear the NDP's commitment to these projects. Furthermore, alignment with respect to RPO 3750, which aims to essentially complete the remaining phases of the major recreational complex planned at Daly Park, is not clear from the NDP, albeit we'll await feedback through the 2-year RSES monitoring report. So the next section then focuses on the Athlone Regional Growth Centre strategic plan. So in supporting RPO 37.4, 0.8 and 0.11, essentially the first 3 lines there, the NDP commits to funding the delivery of, as you've heard before, the Galway to Dublin Greenway, the Athlone Town Centre regeneration and enhancement projects, and the Athlone Tourism Cultural Quarter. In supporting RPO 376, the NDP commits to funding the delivery of the proposed Athlone Institute of Technology STEM building, which will form part of the new Shannon TU. Furthermore, RPO 3713 is supported by the NDP's commitment to delivering the Athlone Sewerage Scheme and Irish Water's commitment to supporting the planned enhancement of the Athlone Water Treatment Plant, since Irish Water's capital investment project is funded through the NDP. To support RPO 3718, the NDP commits to delivering funding for the Athlone Flood Relief Scheme. That said, it's not clear on how the NDP supports the Athlone as a sustainable transport hub, which is inconsistent with RPO 3716. Therefore, further clarity will be definitely needed here. Likewise, alignment with and support of a number of RPOs relating to Athlone are also not clear from the NDP, and these relate to, say, the phase servicing and development of lands for residential and employment uses in Athlone, the support for the integrated provision of infrastructure projects in Athlone as per the RSES, the delivery and development of an open space strategy, promoting Athlone as a sustainable transport hub, and also then supporting the underutilised town centre, brownfield and infield sites as identified in the strategy. So the second last section then of the presentation just focuses on some of the growth ambitions of the RSES, specifically our connected ambition and our infrastructure ambition. We're just going to look at the infrastructure oriented RPOs here. So in terms of RPO 6.6, in terms of road projects, the NDP has delivered obviously on the N4 Collooney to Castlebaldwin development, while it's also committed to delivering on the N5 Ballahadreen to Skermog and Turlock to Westport development, the Galway City Ring Road, the N56 Dunloe to Glenties and Mount Charles to Ivor, the N56 Mycullen bypass, and works related to A5 road development in Northern Ireland. Furthermore, in terms of RPO 6.9 at the bottom of the table, the NDP has delivered obviously on the Western Distributor Road, and also support is given to the delivery of the Garavogue Bridge Scheme. For projects under the RPO 6.7, which you can see in the middle, the NDP commits to all these projects, but deeper provides a direct note on the projects, which they state that all of these projects at various stages are all subject to appraisal and the planning approval processes. So essentially, they're still subject to appraisal. These are all the projects under RPO 6.7. And these range, as you can see, for everything from the N3 Virginia bypass, the N4, the N13, 14, 56 Letterkenny bypass, dual carriageway to Manor-Cunningham, the N14 Manor-Cunningham to Lifford, and down to everything to the N2 Clontippet to the border connecting to the A5. For RPO 6.8, all projects are in the third tranche of roads identified in the RSES, and they're subject to TII approval to advance to pre-appraisal stage, and therefore they cannot be committed to funding at the moment in time, essentially because they're essentially at more feasibility stages and kind of at the early stages of feasibility. So, for example, these kind of projects here relate to everything from, say, the N15 Sligo to Bundoran, the N54 A3 Cavan to Monaghan Town, the N55 Cavan Town to Athlone, the N56 Inver to Killybegs, and the N13 Manor-Cunningham to Derry. So essentially, these are at the early stages, and the NDP hasn't made any funding commitments to them due to that fact. Moving on then, RPO 6.24 is supported by the NDP's commitment to supporting Northwest Greenway and the Ulster Canal Restoration Phase 2, while the Northwest Transport Hub, through joint funding from the Irish Government and the Northern Irish Executive, allowed for the completion of this project in Derry about a year ago. The NDP commits funding for a new passenger ferry for Tory Island, which supports RPO 625. RPO 626C then at the bottom of the table is supported by a wide range of greenway projects, some of which are being developed and some of which are just at very early stages in terms of feasibility. And while I won't mention all the greenways referenced here in the NDP, you can see some of the key projects that was supported. They range from, say, the Northwest Greenway project, the Galway to Dublin Greenway project, the Sligo to Enniskillen Greenway, the Cavan-Leitrim Greenway, and the Inishowen Greenway. But there's quite a lot there, and that's actually only the list of greenways actually fit on the actual slide. So as previously noted then as well, RPO 616 is supported through an all-island strategic rail review. That said, though, alignment with a number of RPOs relating to our ambition to become a connected region are not very clear from the NDP, with the NDP not clear on its support, for example, the east-west road and off to Sligo, the Western Railway Corridor, as you'll know, the enhancement of the capacity of the Dublin-Sligo rail line in terms of our region, the electrification of the region's rail system, and the improvement of our peer infrastructure across our region's islands and across the region in itself. Then the next table then focuses on our fifth growth ambition, namely our infrastructure ambition. So in terms of RPO 8.2, alignment here is actually quite strong as the NDP commits funding to support the North Connacht project across Roscommon, Sligo and Mayo, and the north-south 400 kV interconnector that goes across a number of counties, including Cavan, Monaghan, and Armagh, Tyrone, and Meath. Based on the recently released AirGrid roadmap, which was only released about a week ago, the state has also seems to be committed to delivering on the Belcarrick Castlebar 110 kV line update in Mayo, the Galway 110 kV station redevelopment in Galway, the Regional Solution Project in Galway, the Salt Hill 110 kV line update in Galway, and the Northwest project in Donegal, Leitrim, and Sligo. The air grid material is not very clear on its commitment to the Bellacurrig Moy 110 kV line update in Mayo, with the only reference being a investment with respect to this the Moy station reconfiguration and bush bar upgrade. So kind of further clarity is going to be needed on that, because I don't really know the specifics of that particular area and whether or not that actually delivers on the project. In supporting RPO 815, then the NDP commits funding to the Terryland water treatment plant, which involves upgrading of critical assets within the Galway City water supply scheme, while the NDP also commits funding to the committed funding to the Loch Talt water supply scheme, which obviously aligns with RPO 815. Further alignment in is also evident from the fact that Irish Water has completed the Sligo water supply scheme, upgraded the Carrigan-Shannon water treatment plant, completed essential upgrades works on the Monksland water treatment plant. It's also at the end Irish Water, through the NDP funding, has commenced works on the Roscommon main drainage scheme project, and is also upgrading the water treatment plant in Athlone. Further alignment is also evident across other projects relating to RPO 815. So, for example, the Galway City Drainage Area Plan is part of Irish Water's Capital Investment Programme, which is funded through the NDP. The Galway City Mains Rehabilitation Contract is also supported as it's part of the ongoing National Leakage Reduction Programme, and that would be funded through the NDP. The Galway East Main Drainage Scheme is supported, but it's under a new name called the Greater Galway Area Drainage Strategic Drainage Strategy, and it's currently at only feasibility stage at this moment. The Merlin Park wastewater plan is also supported, albeit it's only at a design stage, and this will be part of the network bottleneck project. And in terms of the Monaghan Town Drainage Area Plan, Irish Water has noticed this morning that through their capital investment plan, they will be supporting the Monaghan Town Drainage Area Plan. So therefore, it's clear, there is reasonable alignment between the RSES and the NDP, with some areas being very aligned, and while some areas are not well aligned at all. Nevertheless, just before I finish up, I'd say to reiterate key message that we'd like to take home from our NDP analysis over the last few weeks, which you would have seen before. And that the message you can see in table 6, and this is our key message with respect to the NDP, which is that the Northern Western region has not received its minimum share of significant projects of scale. And this is based on DEEPR's data that they have presented themselves in the investment project and program tracker. Therefore, our region, which is struggling economically, has not received positive discrimination in terms of significant projects of scale. And these are the same type of projects that we would need in order to revitalize the region's economy and regain our status as a more developed region, in my opinion anyway. But thanks very much for listening, and happy to take any questions.